Hi, everybody. I am Saikat. I'm the national artist for MAC, like how Karen just mentioned. A little bit about what I do at MAC because it can sound a little confusing when I say national artist. So, all the shoots, shows, campaigns, fashion shows in India, also abroad, all of those things that we do at MAC, they're all my baby. That's what I'm responsible for. Basically, the artistic direction for the brand. That's what I do at MAC. Besides that, my style of makeup is more skin forward, which means I put skin before everything else and I use eyes, lips, and everything else to basically support the whole look. Um, why? I'll tell you when we start doing the demo. But yeah, that's a little bit about myself. I come from Calcutta. That's where I was born and brought up, and I moved to Bombay a couple of years ago. And it's been an amazing experience in Bombay and with Mac for almost close to a decade now. And yeah, let's get started. Throughout the session, if you have any questions while I'm doing the makeup, happy to answer them. And obviously, like how Karen mentioned, right at the end, we'll have a separate section for Q&A. Cool. And also, I'm joined today by my beautiful model, Sophie. And thank you so much for joining us. Let's get started. So, like I said, my style of makeup is skin forward, which means I always like to start with skin. I feel that's something that most people forget because good makeup starts with great skincare. Without that, you're not going to meet the end results, right? So I'm going to start prepping her skin first. I'm using the MAC Hyperreal Skin Canvas Balm. What this does is this particular product was designed to work alongside makeup, and it's also got active ingredients in it. And as you know, active ingredients and makeup, they don't really go well together, right? Sometimes it can make your makeup crack, sometimes it can make your makeup spread. But this particular range, which is Hyperreal, do you have something on your face? Yeah. Just give me 2 minutes, guys. I'll have to just clean up a little bit because she has a little glitter. I'm just going to quickly clean it up because I want to start on an absolutely clean canvas. Especially now, I think this is also something that you should always remember. If you feel that your skin has any residue from any makeup that you have had on for a while, remove it completely before you start a fresh makeup, especially when you're doing skincare. Because sometimes, especially if you have any kind of glitter particles, it can get in the way. And also be gentle on your skin, like don't rub it, don't pull it too much. Like you see, I'm just basically gently dabbing the glitter off her face. Coming back to active ingredients, I was saying that skincare nowadays, especially skincare that performs with makeup, has a lot of active ingredients in it, right? So especially the Hyperreal range at MAC was designed in such a way by artists around the world that enables this particular product to perform with makeup. Which means even though it will have your hyaluronic acid, peony petal extracts, niacinamide and all of that, but it's still not going to interfere with the way your makeup performs. So whenever I do makeup, I always start with skincare, like I said, and I take a good 5 minutes at least to sort of massage that product into the skin. And don't forget the neck, because neck is also the part of your face. I kind of like to call it skin artistry because I feel when I massage the product onto the face with a really gentle pressure, it really wakes the skin up. And that is something you should definitely do even when you're doing makeup back at home. Try using strokes that are going from down upwards because that's how we want the blood to flow when we are massaging the skin in. Very, very gently. Don't pull and tug and don't rub. Do you all use a moisturizer, primer, everything when you do your skincare? But do you just use a skincare that you think is trending on social media, or do you use a skincare product that works for your skin? Yeah, that's very, very important because skincare is super tailor-made and it's catered to your skin type. And that is how your makeup will also perform better, when your skincare is also tailor-made to your skin. Now I'm just gonna let this moisturizer seep into her skin. Give it like maybe a few seconds, because remember, when you're applying any kind of makeup, even if it is the primer, wait for the moisturizer to fully seep into the skin. For that, even if you have to like just air it out a little bit, like I always carry my fan with me. I literally like to do this because I feel like it just helps soak up the moisture a little bit better. And then I go in with primer. Now, even on social media, when you see primers, skincare, concealers, and all of that, now dewy makeup is really trending, right? Everybody wants dewy, 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 dewy. But when you do dewy makeup, do you use all products that are gonna give you like a dewy finish, or do you mix and match? Mix and match? Mixing and matching is very, very important. I'll tell you why. Just because if you have dry skin, it doesn't mean that you should not use a primer that is mattifying. Because the skincare that you use underneath, like the Hyper Real Skin Canvas Balm that I use, is really gonna give her skin that nourishment that her skin needs in terms of moisture, hydration, reducing any kind of flakiness that she has. But when it comes to the primer, I really want a primer that is more blurring, that feels more velvety, compared to something that's more sticky or more hydrating. I'll tell you why. Because sometimes when you're mixing too many hydrating products together, your makeup is going to look fabulous when you do it, but it's not going to look the same in say 2-3 hours. So you keep a healthy mix. Some products you choose that are super hydrating. Some you can also use mattifying. Like the primer that I'm using right now is a mattifying primer, and I'm just dabbing it on the center of the face, because that is where the makeup moves the most. You don't really have to apply a lot of primer here, not so much like here. You don't really need it, because the job of the primer is to give you a smooth surface before you apply the makeup, and to ensure that your makeup stays on for really long. In general, when we talk, when we smile, when we laugh, these are the areas that move the most, right? So especially when you use a primer, concentrate maybe somewhere around the eyes, under the eyes basically, and the T-zone. You can leave the rest of the face, honestly, because you'll just be wasting the product. So just use it mindfully wherever you need it. Forget about the rest. And also when you apply the primer, give it about 5-10 seconds for the primer also to kind of set before you move into any kind of makeup products. Now, when it comes to makeup products, we all see a lot of influencers using a lot of skincare when we see them on social media, right? Skin is looking like glass. That looks brilliant on camera. That does not work in real life. That looks brilliant when you have a ring light in front of your face. But when we meet people, we don't walk around with a ring light, right? Then you want your makeup to look natural, more approachable, more lived in, where it looks like that makeup belongs to your face, not like it's an extra thing sticking out, right? So, especially when you do skincare, don't go overboard. Like, don't go super intense with your skincare, because if you have that amount of glassiness in your skin while you're doing makeup, unless you're just wearing like a blush and a lip gloss and mascara and no complexion products, your makeup is going to slip, which means your makeup will not sit well. So with skincare also, you have to be very mindful that you use just enough, not more than that, because you also want to make sure that your makeup sits well for hours and hours. You must be wondering, what is the small little thing I'm using? Okay, so when I usually travel, like I'm traveling from Mumbai to Pune for this masterclass, sometimes it gets difficult to carry so many bottles, and I'm meeting Sophie for the first time. Like, I've seen her on Instagram, but I'm meeting Sophie for the first time, so I wasn't sure about her color. So I brought like a couple of colors with me, and I realized, oh shit, like this is a little too dark for her. So I carry some extra foundations also in these small little bottles because they're lighter. They help me when I'm traveling. So that's what this is basically. And if you're thinking, if you're wondering what foundation I'm using the Studio Fix, the OG Studio Fix that's technically made MAC popular. Like everybody loved Studio Fix for years and years. That's what I'm using. And when it comes to foundation, I like to use very, very little. Now, throughout this masterclass also, I'm going to keep it, yes, I'm going to talk about MAC and the MAC products, of course, but I'm going to keep it more focused on techniques and what I like to do in terms of what I'm doing out here, and less about the product, so it just helps you when you go back home basically. I usually like to do, when it comes to concealer or if you're using a corrector, I like to keep the skin as light as possible. So first I use the foundation all over. I step back, I see whatever the foundation alone is covering. Because you may feel like you need a concealer, but it's also possible that you don't. Maybe the foundation is enough for all the coverage that you need, right? So when that happens, you can use the concealer after your foundation. So you see whatever the foundation has covered, and then you only apply the concealer where you need. So that way you're keeping the skin also more lightweight, more breathable, and more airy. Yeah. Wherever possible, I try and avoid using more products. Like I try to keep it as light as possible. Like I said, preference. What is your skin type and what you're looking for? My skin type is oily, very oily, which means I don't want something that's too shiny. I want something that is going to give me a little bit of a mattifying finish, and something that will also is easy for me to use, because most of the time I'm running late and I'm like running from one place to the other. So I need something quick and easy. So for me, it would be the Studio Fix powder foundation. I can just do one Fix Plus spray all over my face, just a little powder, and walk out. That's it. And it can also be built up and give you like a full flawless coverage also. We have a little time in the end where we're going to try the powder out on all of you. So yeah. Yeah. 100%. One more thing, while I'm applying the foundation, I don't blend so much. First I apply whatever I apply. I let it sit on the skin a little bit, get a little sticky, and then I start blending it. I feel it just increases the longevity of the product, because I also go in with one good like spritz of the Fix Plus, MAC Fix Plus, and that really helps set all that product into the skin. So I'm just gonna take very little foundation. Honestly, I have taken so much on my palette, but I've literally like taken very little. The foundation that I'm using is called the Studio Fix Fluid, and it's like a medium to buildable coverage. I'm gonna keep the foundation back. I don't need any more. So the shade that I'm using for her is called NC18. Now, if you have been using MAC foundations for really long, you probably must have an NC or something already assigned in your head basically. But with the changing times, products are also becoming more and more modern, because skincare is also being included as a part of those products, right? So that's why sometimes, because of the alteration of the skincare ingredients in it, colors change a little bit. Because the old Studio Fix, say the powder or the foundation, liquid foundation or the powder foundation, they were made many years ago, right? So now things are changing, technology is more modern, ingredients are more like newer, so shades also shift around a little bit. So if you have been like an NC30 all your life, I would recommend it's time to get a shade match done, because that can be different now. There are chances that it can be different. And why am I saying this? Whether you use a MAC foundation or not, I know this for a fact that MAC foundations are still used as a benchmark. When people go to a Sephora, Nykaa, any other brand, they say I'm an NC30 in MAC, what will I be in so and so brand, you know? So that's why I'm saying this, that maybe it'll help. So even if you don't know your current MAC shade, you should definitely get a shade match done. And that's exactly why we have kept a separate session at the end of the class, the masterclass, where we shade match all of you to the new powder that just launched. So do you see this product has been sitting on her face for some time, right? So I'm just going to give it a good spritz of Fix Plus. And this is not the regular Fix Plus. This is Stay Over. What this does is, the old Fix Plus, you remember? This one, then this one. These ones are hydrating mists. These are not setting sprays. This one is a setting spray. So I love using this before, after, in between, basically, because I feel it really helps me let the makeup, whatever cream, powder, whatever I'm using, really adhere to the skin. And what I mean by that is really not just sit on the surface of the skin, but seep into the skin and make the skin look nice and flawless at the same time, but also make it look like super long lasting and natural. See, I'd like to use a very thin layer of foundation, very thin layer, because I don't want to cover everything. I want her real skin to show through the makeup, because that's what makes the makeup look more lived in, more approachable. I think I'm okay with this much foundation. I don't really want to add like a lot, because I am going to go in with a concealer, right? I always like to step back and see where all I need coverage. So when you're looking at her, where do you feel she needs coverage? Under eyes, a little bit around the mouth. Yes. And here a little bit, right? Exactly. But remember, the foundation that we used was Studio Fix, which is a matte foundation. But the concealer that we're going to use a dewy one, because I want her skin to shine, but I want only the shine to only be on areas where I let it be shiny. I don't want her to be shining all over.
Hi, Saikat.
Yes.
I wanted to know.
Where? Sorry.
Sorry. I wanted to know, do you prefer with the sponge, putting the foundation with the sponge, or with the brush? Which is a better way?
I prefer a brush, because for me, I can clean the brushes and I deep clean my brushes. So I feel it's more hygienic, because the same brushes are going on multiple people every day. But for your personal use, you can definitely go ahead and use a beauty blender. But I just feel beauty blender soaks up a lot of product. So I end up wasting more than I'm using. More product goes into the blender than it goes onto the skin.
And finishing wise, it doesn't make a difference.
That's so absolutely fine. Yes.
I always prefer it with my fingertips. I don't know. I've been never comfortable with brushes and sponge. I've always preferred with my fingertips.
That's perfect.
Like, blending it upwards.
Yeah. That's perfect.
That's a better way to do.
Yes, 100%. It all comes down to preference. Whatever you feel you're comfortable with. Like if I have to put a little concealer before I go out, I use my fingers. I don't use a brush. So whatever you're comfortable with. But how I use the blender is I always take my blender, spray my setting spray nicely on the blender. After I've done my base, I don't press it, but I just go over the same area. I'm not like really blending or pressing. What this does is, after I have applied the foundation with a brush, if I have any extra particle like leftover residue from the makeup, that gets picked up and that comes here. So when she takes any photographs or when you're looking at her, the skin, once the makeup is done fully, will look smoother and you'll not see any kind of patches or any kind of small debris or anything like that. This also helps if you have any kind of flakiness or dryness, because I know some of us have flaky skin also. Like I have really oily skin, but I suffer with a lot of flakiness. Like my nose, it gets really flaky. So for those kind of situations also, you can use this trick.
Yeah, but then when you have a T-zone, like, you have very oily skin on your T-zone. So then will the same products use, or would you suggest going for different products on your different parts of your face? How would you do that?
You've already prepped the skin with the primer that's gonna keep it mattified. So if you use a concealer that's a little bit dewy, that's absolutely fine. But make sure you set it with a powder, whether it's a loose powder or whether it's something like Studio Fix. You have to set your makeup, because if you don't set your makeup will move. A lot of people are scared of powders, They say, no, powder makes my skin dry. I know it does, but that's when the setting spray comes in. Because if you use the setting spray to melt all the powder products into your skin, that will never happen. So right now I'm using the Studio Radiance concealer. This is a dewy concealer. I always like to take it at the back of my hand, warm it up a little bit instead of going directly, because sometimes when I'm going directly, you will end up using a lot more product than you actually need. But when I'm using it from the back of my hand, I know that I will only apply the concealer wherever I need, and I will just let the rest be. Look up for me once. And just buff it into the skin. I'm using a color that is slightly deeper than her skin tone because I'm not using a corrector right now. So what this slightly darker color will do, it's gonna color correct her under eyes at the same time while concealing it. So if you are not someone who likes to use a lot of makeup, and if you feel that using a color corrector is just one more extra step in your routine that you wish you could just let go, try a concealer that's a little darker. When I say darker, I mean it shouldn't be like a lot darker. Like you can tell like it's slightly darker, but it's also blending into her skin. And why have I used a color that's slightly darker? Because the color under her eyes and the color everywhere else are two different colors. If you use a concealer that matches with your foundation perfectly, and if you use it under your eyes without a corrector uske niche, it's gonna go full grey. So you have to match the concealer to the color of your under eyes, not to the color of your skin. That's where most people go wrong when they buy concealer. Yeah. Like basically match the color of the under eye, of the dark circle. Yeah. Doing the same. This side. So whenever I'm even applying the concealer, I like to apply the concealer nicely. This side also I'll apply. And then again, I let it sit on the skin for some time. You can give it like a minute or something. Spray your setting spray again. I mean, you don't have to, but that's how I like it because I feel I keep the skin as lightweight as possible. Yes. This one. So there are different kinds of Fix Pluses. So this one, the main original Fix Plus, main ingredient in this is glycerine. This one is great for like melting away any kind of powders or if you just want to refresh your makeup. Then there's another one called Magic Radiance. So that one works pretty much for all skin type. The natural, this one Magic Radiance is infused with hyaluronic acid. So this is great for folks with dry skin. And then there's another one called Fix Plus Matte, which I'm not carrying. That's great for oily skin. This one is great for people who want to set their makeup. Again, ingredient wise, every product has like separate ingredients like that. Like this one has different set of ingredients. This is alcohol free, only spray which is alcohol free in the market, by the way. And this one has your hyaluronic acid, niacinamide and all of that. But glycerine is a common ingredient. And apart from that, you have cucumber extract, grapefruit extract, you have chamomile, green tea and all of those things as well.
I like the one with the shimmer.
Yeah? Oh, you like the Fix Plus strobe. There's one more, Fix Plus strobe also, which is like shimmery. Like once you've sprayed it all over, you're gonna... It's like a light veil of highlighter on your skin. There's one more Fix Plus called Fix Plus strobe. That one is like a shimmery spray, basically. Also, when I'm doing the concealer, you must have noticed that I applied the concealer around the eye and then I left it there for some time because I like when the concealer gets a little bit tacky because I feel that way it just blends better and it stays on for really, really long. So right after I've used the concealer, I don't go off and blend it. I take a little time. And then I'm going to take the same concealer and just apply it around the mouth area gently. Right now, because she has no eye makeup on, she has no lip like nothing on the lips, she doesn't have a blush, contour, nothing. So you're probably feeling like this coverage is not enough. But trust the process. By the time we get to the end of the look, she'll have a full face of makeup. But if you keep layering the skin to an extent where the skin looks completely covered now, by the time you reach the end, it's gonna look flat and it's gonna look too much. And a little bit of redness also that's like peeking through the foundation concealer will be fully corrected using the rest of the products after this. Okay, now after I have concealed her under eyes, what I like to do is I like to go in with the same foundation that I applied earlier, take very little, almost like nothing, and just do one last layer. So if there's any kind of color difference, it blends in. So mostly this area and this area. Just gonna keep a super light hand and just... Sorry, someone was saying something. Exactly. So I have the foundation underneath, but very little. You won't be able to do this if you have a very thick layer of foundation, because then the colors will mix with each other, the textures will mix with each other, and it will become something else only. So I'm just gonna slowly buff it in and just dab. See, remember when you're doing anything under the eye where you've added a lot of coverage, I know everyone talks about blending, but don't blend your under eyes, because if you're blending your under eyes, I'll tell you what you're doing. You're taking the concealer, applying it on the under eyes and blending it so much and removing it. So you dab, you press it into the skin and only blend the edges, which means I applied the concealer here. I don't need to blend there. There I will press it into the skin like this. Where I need to blend is the outer circle, where the concealer and foundation is. Yeah. So there I have to slightly blend it. But that's it. I'm gonna set the concealer with the brand new Studio Fix powder. You all remember what the old powder looked like, right? That's the old powder. That's the new powder. It looks different. It doesn't just look different, it does a lot more, and it's very, very different compared to the old one. Number one being, we have completely removed talc. As you all know, talc is like a touchy, controversial ingredient globally, and it's one of the very first brands to drop talc completely from its lineup. So this one is talc free. Also, to make it easier to understand, the formulation is like a loose powder but pressed into a compact form that gives you coverage, and it's super blurry, which means it has something called optical diffusers in it. It's sounds like a technical term, but optical diffusers basically makes the skin texture look less. That's what it does. It makes it look smoother. I always start with the forehead, so I will do a little bit of a test patch. It completely kills the shine. Do you see this part looks smoother suddenly? And you can layer it as much as you want and then give it a good spray, and it's just gonna seep into the skin. Also, someone asked me earlier that they like to use powders, but the only issue that they have with powders is they feel that after a few hours, they start getting creases under their eyes. After you do your concealer and your foundation, if you use the powder without removing creases, you are going to set your crease, which means is if you also, when you use a concealer, you start seeing that it settles a little bit in the lines, right? If you take the powder, this should be the last thing that you do. If you take the powder and press it onto skin that already has creases, you're making sure that your crease will stay with you till the end of the day. But to avoid that, you take a brush that doesn't have too much product, or maybe the same brush that you were using for your concealer, or if you don't have a brush, your fingers, remove the creases wherever concealer's gone it completely, like this. Like for example, look up for me. Like remove all the creases completely, make sure that the under eye is flat before you do anything else, quickly take the powder and press it on. Once you press it on like this, it means that you're setting under eyes that are absolutely flat and that doesn't have crease. Right now when you see her under eyes, they look flat, but even if it had creases, if you remove it and set it, it will stay like that. But if you don't remove it and set it, it's gonna, yeah. I'm gonna do the same thing, remove the creases. And getting crease is normal. Everyone gets it. It's not about your skin type. It's not about the skin texture. It's not about the age. Everybody gets, and that's normal. All we have to do is make sure that we set it the right way. And if you do this trick, your under eyes will never crease. And you must have seen, like, I didn't remove this side and then that side and then powdering this side and going back that side. I finished this side completely and then I'm going there because I don't want to give it time to settle into the crease. And I don't use the powder everywhere really. I only mostly use it on the T-zone because that's where people usually get a little bit oily. And that's about it. I'm gonna take a bigger brush. Maybe take a... sorry? Yes, you have to use a compact whether you have dry skin, oily skin. In between, it's non-negotiable. If you feel you want to keep your makeup on for long, you have to use a powder. And then use a setting spray to melt the powder into the skin. So your skin still looks like skin even after you've powdered it. I was feeling that shade probably was going a little dark for her. So I'm gonna go in with a lighter shade.
That's my usual issue. My mom is like, you don't wear a foundation because it never matches.
So now, especially with the new powders, the shades have changed.
Yeah.
So I was using an NC 17 for her, but now I'm using an NC 15, which is a very light color.
Yeah, I usually use NC 17, but still, it gets that brownish.
Correct. So maybe you can try 15. So what I'm putting right now is a 15. And make sure you always bring the product down to your neck. That's very, very, very important. Look up for me, chin down and eyes up. You remember how little foundation we used and little concealer, but see, it's already looking like she has full coverage. See, right after you use powder, the skin starts looking little dry, right? So that is exactly when you take the spray and give it a good generous spritz, like nicely, make it wet. And it's a setting spray, and when you lock your makeup in every step, I know it's a little extra work because at every step I'm spraying, but it really helps with keeping the makeup long for really, really long. So I'll show you how I like to contour. I don't like to blend too much because I want the contour to be there. So I take a brush, like a brush that has a little bit of an angle like that, and I dip it in the product nicely, dust off the excess, and just follow the natural contour of the face. Don't start anywhere else because for everybody it's going to be different. It's not, makeup is different for everyone, for everyone's faces it's different, right? For her, I can clearly see this is her natural contour line. So I'm just gonna go in and enhance exactly that same line that she has as her natural contour. And just gonna blend that. Again, don't over blend also. Just leave it there like that. Don't worry about it because the moment you put the blush on, it's all gonna work. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. Place it like I'm stamping it on. I will show you how to find the perfect contour line. It's a funny activity, but it works every time. If you don't know exactly where to contour, and if you feel like you're not getting the perfect spot because she has that perfect chiseled face, I know. But say if you feel like I don't know where my contour should be, take a brush like this. I might have to remove it to show you. It's funny, huh? Don't judge me. But take a brush like this. You only have to do it once in your life, because once you know this, you will know where to contour. Take the brush like this, put it flat on your face. Yeah? Start rolling it. You'll feel it get stuck somewhere. That's where your contour should be. Yes. It will, trust me. It's tried and tested. Okay, so now when I'm contouring, I don't just like to contour there. I like to take a little bit left over and I go under. So this one is called a Sunstruck bronzer. This is a bronzer basically. It's got, so there are different kinds of bronzers and contour. They're two very different things. Bronzers will be warm. Yeah, warm meaning, if you don't understand, cool and warm. Warm are all the colors that you see in the, say, the sun. So everything that's orangey, a little bit peachy, they are all warm colors. Cool will be more on the grayer side. So cool tone colors are great for sculpting. The warm tone colors are great for bronzing. I prefer the bronzy colors on Indian skin tones because I just feel it brings the natural depth of the skin. I am right now making her already chiseled jawline more chiseled, and when you do that, you don't draw a line like that. So you first see this area, iski jo niche wala area hai, this part, there you go like this downwards. So what this does is this creates a shadow. When you do this, it creates a line. So when someone is looking at you from the side, they will see a line here. We don't want to do that. We want to just make sure that this, sorry, I'll go to the other side. I want to make sure that this part has that shadow. First you stamp it like that and then you blend it. First, draw the line where however you want to conceal. Even if it is round, make that line and pull it down. Yes, yes, yes. Pull it, draw the line and pull it down. I'm saying don't draw the line and leave it there. Because I have seen a lot of people do that. They do that sharp contour, but they then don't blend it downwards. And then whatever is left on my brush, I'm gonna go and apply it almost close to the roots of her hair. This helps tie the whole contour bronzer situation together, because then it doesn't look like you have suddenly got two lines like that. Yeah, and if you have still some more left over, you can go on the side of the nose like this and press it in like this. Okay, I'm gonna use this color which is really popular. This one is the new Strobe liquid blush. Yeah, and this one's called Apricot Jelly. Now, most of the time when I've used cream blushes in the past, what I've struggled with is I go in directly with the product on the face and then I'm like, shit, now I can't blend it because it's so pigmented, right? It doesn't happen with this one, but still I like to take it at the back of the hand. I mean, even if I want, I can go in directly. This product is really forgiving. It's not like it's on, so it's on, abhi nahi niklega, patch ho gaya. It's not like that. It is gonna beautifully blend even if you apply it directly. This shade is called Apricot Jelly. Pretty much, yeah, because it's like a peachy, orangey shade and it looks like a full jhatang orange in this. But once you apply it, I couldn't find another word for jhatang, so sorry. So, like a really bright neon orange, it looks like that. But when it mixes with the skin color, it gives you that beautiful peachy flush. But how I like to use it, this is one way. I like to take it on the back of my hand, warm it up on my brush, and then use the leftovers on the skin. I feel this makes the color like a little bit softer and looks a little bit more lived in. Also, if you see, the blush placement also now has changed. Yeah. We used to always earlier ask our models to like smile and then apply it here. But I always had a huge problem with that. I felt like I am always not gonna meet people like this, right? It's creepy. No, I am gonna relax my face. This is my normal face. So the moment you stop smiling, your blush goes here. So I always had a huge problem when it comes to applying blush like that. but it was like an industry standard to wear blush like that. So, but now I'm so glad we've moved away from that, and now it's more strategic placement of the blush where you apply where it works for you. And I like to apply the blush somewhere here, almost where we used to apply the highlighter earlier. And I like to really go close to almost the under eyes, but only in the outer corner, because I feel like it gives a nice and lifted effect. Also, if you have any kind of additional darkness under the eye, it also corrects it. This is like a cheekbone placement, right? Over here, if you place, whether you have a round face, square face, heart face, your shape will be like that. See, I'm almost blending it in here and pulling it up from here, so it gives her a nice snatched look. I'm gonna do the same here also. And then take the leftover and kind of go a little bit over the nose, because people really like it. I think I'm gonna stop right here, otherwise I'm gonna get more blind with the blush, so I'll stop there. And now I'm gonna use a little bit of loose powder. Use any loose powder that works for you. I'm using the Studio Fix loose powder, and I'm gonna take the loose powder and dab it under the eye and almost blend the loose powder into the blush, so it sets the cream, the outer areas of where I have applied the blush, also makes the skin look more blurry. And then what I like to do the most is use Fix Plus and let it set. We're gonna leave it here for now, and we're gonna come back to it later, or maybe I can just add a little highlighter maybe and finish it off. I'm gonna take a little highlighter. So you all know where to apply the highlighter? Right on top of the cheekbones. Don't apply it everywhere because it's not gonna help. Only apply it on the cheekbones. I know you're gonna ask me, what if my cheekbones are not showing? What do I do then? Then you touch this area and feel where your cheekbone is, and only apply it on the cheekbone, because highlight will only show when the light hits your face. If the room is dark, your highlights will not show. If you have a source of light, only then your highlight will show. So there's no point putting highlighter here. I'm just saying. I know you all don't put it here, but there's no point putting it there because no one's going to be able to see it. So you only feel where the bone is and go over the bone. And then extend it a little bit to the brow bone. And then go back to my Purana brush that I was using, like by Purana I mean the previous one, and just blend the highlighter into the blush, because I want the shine, but I don't want it to look like a line. I'm gonna do the eyes last for you, okay? I'm just gonna hydrate her lips first now. This one is a transparent lipstick, basically. It has no color. This is a transparent lipstick, but it doubles up as a lip conditioner, as a lip balm. Okay, so the lip color that I'm gonna use is called Creme in Your Coffee. I love using this lip color. I think if you go on my Instagram, you'll find like 1 million videos where I have just expressed my deep love for this color. I feel it's a color that not a lot of people know about.
Yeah.
It's not a meher, it's not a velvetary. Everybody loves meher, velvetary, but I feel this color is extremely underrated.
What's it called again?
Creme in Your Coffee. I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna use it all over the lip. I'm not gonna worry so much about the line because I'm gonna go in with a lip liner. But if you don't wanna use a lip liner, it's fine. Make sure you apply it properly. And I'm just using it all over the lip. It's called Creme in Your Coffee. It's a, yeah. It's a beautiful, beautiful, like a My Lips but better sort of a shade. Yeah. It's a nude shade, yeah. It's a nude shade. Open your lips a little bit, yeah. You can, but maybe you need a slightly deeper pencil to kind of outline the lips. This works on like light to medium to like this would be a little too light on my skin tone, but little bit lighter than me also can carry it. Plumper as in like a lip plumper, like a lip gloss sort of a thing. I'll use a plumper after this anyway. I'll show you. I'm gonna use the Squirt lip plumper, and I'm using the Whirl lip pencil to perfect the shape of the lip. So you see, I've applied the lipstick very roughly, right? Like I've not like worried too much about the shape and all of that, because I'm anyway going in with a lip pencil, and you can keep it closed. I like to use it after. I'll tell you why. Because I like to use the lip pencil to only shape the lipstick, because I feel, yes, if you use the lip pencil first and use the lip pencil all over the lip, it makes your lipstick stay longer, because you already have a color underneath protecting the lip color under the lipstick also. But sometimes if it's a color that I really love, I don't want it to mix with a lip pencil color, I fill in the lip with that particular color and just line it. That's it. Lip liners are such a rage right now. Like the Gen Z kids, they love the lip liner. They don't even use lipstick. They want lip liner, lip gloss, and they're out the door. I mean, I would set realistic expectations with you. Remember something, if something is matte, it will always last longer. If it's glossy, it will not last as long as matte. So if I say don't worry about it, if you put creme in your coffee, you will have the lipstick on even when you have coffee at midnight. No, you will have to touch up. That's how glossy lipsticks function. You can use a lip primer underneath, or after you hydrate the lip, take a tissue and dab it off. Yeah. Makeup is supposed to be fun. Use your lip liner as eyeliner, eyeliner as lip liner, blush as an eyeshadow. It's all about having fun. It doesn't matter what you put where, as long as you're having fun, and as long as you like don't put concealer on your lip. But that's also a look, huh? Concealer lip is a trend. But yeah, as long as you're having fun. Yeah?
It's nothing.
It's easy to use on yourself. Don't worry. Nothing happens. But as long as you make sure that your skin is not getting pulled. So before you start pressing, yeah, you check whether your skin is pulling. If your skin is pulling, don't press it. If your skin is not pulling and it's just the lashes, then go for it. Okay, someone asked me, can we use concealer on the eyes as an eyeshadow primer? I love using eyeshadow primers, to be honest with you. But since you asked the question earlier, I'm gonna ditch these eyeshadow primers that I have. Not gonna use them, but I'm gonna use a concealer instead. Just gonna take the concealer. Just make sure you don't use a concealer that's very hydrating. Like I'm not using the concealer that I use for her under eyes, because more hydrating means higher moisturizing factors, and more moisture on the eyes is not good because it's gonna crease. So you try and take a concealer that's more on the matte side. Like I'm just gonna press it onto the eyes like this. What this does is, it gives you an even tone, so the eye makeup later looks more impactful and the color stands out even more. But right after you use your concealer, quickly take some powder and set it.
But is this step so important to like make sure before you start doing your coloring of your eyes?
Not really. I honestly prefer without it, because I like when the eyeshadow color mixes with the real skin color. I really love that. But for a lot of people, they have extremely oily eyelids. For them, it controls the oil, so your makeup stays on for longer. if you go into color correcting it with an orange and then putting a concealer and then putting a powder, it becomes too many layers. If you feel you're going to use an eyeshadow that already has some color, it is automatically going to color correct to an extent. Like for example, even if I don't use this concealer on her eyes and go for a nice peachy eyeshadow, peachy means what? It's a lighter orange, which will eventually any which way color correct. And very, very thin layer, not like a thick layer, because if you do a thick layer, it will still crease. It has to be like a veil, that's it. One thing before I do eye makeup, I always make sure that I comb the eyebrows thoroughly. Now, some people may need to fill in their eyebrows. For her, she's got beautiful bushy brows, so I'm not gonna fill them. I'm just going to brush through the brows, that's it. And just set it in place. If you want, you can use like a clear brow gel. If you can use a clear brow gel if you feel like you have nice and thick brows. If you feel like you have nice and thick brows but maybe little gaps, just fill in those gaps. Don't draw like an entire eyebrow because that is so out. Like nobody does that anymore, you know. And I feel it takes away the softness from the face. Okay, so the palette that I'm using is called Future Flame. This palette is called Future Flame. I'm just gonna take a color that's like close to her skin tone but maybe a little bit darker and just go into the crease. But I'm gonna avoid putting a lot of color in front. I'm just gonna start like this, but I'll come inwards. I'm not gonna go outwards, because if I go outwards, the color's gonna spread that way. But if I go inwards, the color's gonna stay restricted only where I want it, like that. Like back and forth. Like even when I'm going like this, I'm blending it inside. I know, like back in the day, even when I started doing makeup, we used to do smoky eyes that used to come all the way out till here, like full bam, like that. But no one does that anymore. Like now it's out. Now it's all about keeping the color within the natural socket of the eye. Don't worry too much about blending. I'll tell you why also. Once you're done and once you're happy with the eyeshadow look, you can take a brush that has no product in it. I'm not doing that now, but I'm just saying take a brush with no product on it and blend everything out in terms of the outer. I'll show you. So take a brush that has no product and just like blend out the edges. Like very normally, not any professional step, like just like that. So that way you'll have the blend, but you'll also not take the color away. People prefer doing eye makeup before the foundation because God forbid when you're on spot like this, when you're doing makeup in front of so many people and you've done a beautiful base and you mess it up, what do? You'll have to take the wet wipe and remove it. So people find it safer to do the eyes first, so they feel they can remove what they want to remove and then start the base once the eyes are done. That's a great way to do your eye makeup and your base makeup if you are a beginner and if you feel like ghar pe, I'm talking about y'all, when you're doing your own makeup, if you feel your eyeshadow is gonna fall, do the eyes first. But what I like is I like to do the base and I see how much eye makeup I need. I may not need a full-blown smoky eye on top of this, but when I'm doing that eye makeup on a bare face, I feel I don't know when to stop. So having the rest of the face put together, it helps me know where should I stop. So it's just my personal thing, but you can totally do it before. So when you blend inwards, you get like a beautiful definition and intensity of color also, where the color is literally only draping your eyes and it's not going everywhere. You know, I'll tell you a funny thing. I actually do even mascara before I do base, before I do eyeshadow. I do mascara on like if I'm doing makeup for a shoot, I always do mascara first, because eyelashes, false eyelashes, nobody uses them anymore, right? Now people like lots of mascara. I feel if I don't have eye makeup on, I can really coat each and every lash without worrying about getting the mascara on top. Once I'm happy with the mascara, I wipe off the eyes and then I do the eye makeup. It just helps me like really open up the eyes. And for eyes also, I'm gonna do something really, really simple that you all will be able to sort of do it easily. I don't want to do something too technical or too like creative also, because then what's the point if you are struggling with it later? Because I have like 1 million brushes here to work with, but when I'm showing you, I want you to like use just one brush and just one and done. Like I don't want you to use like 5 brushes to do one eye. Just blending it out gently. And you know, sometimes what happens is when you see an eyeshadow palette, you feel like ye wala color to bahut pale hai, this will not show on my eyes. But that is why I do the base first, because when your base is done, this color will show. When your base is not done and you put it, like if I put this color on my eye right now, it won't show. But if I have a full base on, this light color will also show, even though I'm like super dusky, it will still show. So it just helps me understand how light or how dark can I go. Otherwise, if you had to use a darker color like this, her eyes will look like orange. That's something that I don't want. I can have orange as an element, but I don't want an orange smoky eye. Okay, now I'm gonna take this dark brown, nicely dust off the excess, and just put it in the outer 1/3 of the eye, almost like an eyeliner. And one more trick also you can do. If you feel like you're feeling a little worried about, oh, what if my eyeshadow falls on my face? Before you start putting anything, if your base is already done, look up for me. If you deposit some powder here and leave it there, and you keep doing your eyes, you can just dust it off later, and everything that has fallen on the powder will also be dusted off. And it also in the process helps you, this is something called baking. So, but don't blend the powder, let it like just sit on the surface. I mean, you can totally avoid this step also. I mean, but this really helps to remove any kind of oil or any kind of moisture from your under eyes. So eventually your under eyes look more matte and it stays on for longer. Because remember, anything that's matte will stay for longer. Anything that's glossy will be the first thing to go. I'm gonna take the same brush, just remove the excess. And just like start blending it a little bit. So when she opens her eyes, she doesn't have a liner, but it still has some kind of definition. Just gonna blend that. Now I'm gonna keep this eye makeup super simple, not too complicated. This one is, I call this like a lazy person's makeup. This one is the Dazzle Shadow Liquid. Once you have a very basic as this smoky eye, you take a little bit of this. I'll just give it a good shake. I'm gonna take a little bit of this and place it right in the center. Oh no, it's okay. Place it right in the center. Take a brush and just diffuse it a little bit. Don't try blending it too much. I'm just like dabbing it on basically. And the leftovers, I'm just brushing it upwards. Let's see. Open your eyes. Slightly chin down. Yeah. I can go in with a little bit more. Just pop it in the center, and once it's on, it's gonna be on. Just don't try blending it too much. I'm just patting it on. I just placed it in the center, and I'm just patting it on and letting it move wherever it goes with the natural movement. Not precisely putting in the center or on the outer corner. Just tapping it with a loose, like a fluffy brush. And then I'm going to take a little bit of highlighter and the same highlighter that I use on the face and kind of like go in the inner corner a little bit and blend it into the eyeshadow and like take it up to the brow bone.
I do that a lot.
I just feel it just ties the whole eye look together. Like this one is looking a little bit more complete. This is looking a little rough. So I'm just gonna do the same this side also. And then look up for me. Slightly chin down. Look up, eyes up. Yeah, I'm gonna do it a little bit in the inner corner also. I feel people think shine matlab only on top of the eyes. But I like to add a little shine in the inner corner and a little lower lash line also. Yeah.
The cut.
Yeah. And then I'm going to take a kohl pencil. Now this step is optional. You don't have to if you are someone who doesn't wear kajal. But I feel like sometimes when you add a kajal, I know you have very sensitive eyes. So I think close your eyes first. And I'm going to go into her eyes like that. Keep it closed. Don't try and opening them. You okay? I'm gonna do the same. Do you all do this? Do you all do a tight lining? I feel like sometimes when you are doing, open your eyes. When you're not doing a liner, it still like sort of adds that liner without adding a liner. Wow, how different it's looking over there.
Bad or good?
Oh no, I mean different. Does it look up for me? Okay, now it's gonna be your... Tell me when to stop, huh? So even when you're doing your kajal, if your eyes are as sensitive as hers, don't try doing it in one go. Doing it in shorter strokes like that and you'll be fine. And don't do too intense also if you want. Like start with less, and if you feel that your eyes can handle it, then you go in with more. Okay, so y'all asked me that why does kajal spread, like no matter how much you try your kajal spreads, right? So there are different kinds of kajal in the market also. For example, MAC. MAC has this kajal that I used on her right now. This will not budge. MAC also has this kajal right over here. This is meant to smudge because this is meant to be used as a base of a smoky eye. This is not. If I try doing a smoky eye with this, it will become patchy. Yeah. There's smudge proof, waterproof. There are ones that are meant for smoky eyes. There are ones that are meant for eyeliner. So there are different kinds also. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit of this bronzer that I was using earlier and like just go in the outer corner of the eye and kind of blend it upward like this to give it a lift. I feel like this really ties the eye makeup and the bronzer together. And remember all that powder we set under the eye? We have to remove it. We have to do something else before that. So I'm going to take a little bit of brown and look up and go right under the lashes and smoke that out. Then I'm going to take this brush and remove everything. So that time while I was using the glitter, if anything has fallen under her eye, will just disappear. Close your eyes. I really like to like almost wet the face completely. That to hydrate and this to set. All this while the skin was looking too matte. Once this liquid sets in, it will become dewy. But everything under the top layer is still matte. It's just not gonna show, it's not just gonna look matte. But all that is still matte. You can try this lip color called taupe, you can try meher, but meher could be a little light, so maybe twig.
Like a lot of women have hooded eyes.
Correct.
So we find that, like, my daughter has hooded eyes, and we find it very difficult to do any eye makeup,
Okay.
let alone a liner. So what kind of tips would you like to give for hooded eyes?
Okay. So for hooded eyes, the main concern is that a lot of people think hooded eyes is not the ideal eye shape and उसमें eye makeup नहीं होता है, but उसमें eye makeup होता है. It's just that open your eyes once again. Is just that the eye makeup has to be customized to the hooded eye. So in hooded eyes, what happens is that you have very little lid space. The lid is super tiny, it's covered, and you have a lot more eyebrows
There's only one
area.
for one more.
Like this part is bigger than this part, right? So it goes back to the basics of science where anything that's shiny, shimmery is going to highlight, and anything that's dark or matte is going to contour. So when you are doing makeup for someone with hooded eyes, throw away all your dark colors. Don't use a black on them, don't use a dark brown on them. Use brighter colors, use a gold, use a rose gold, use a champagne gold. And when you're applying it, the shine, only apply on the lid. Don't go on top towards your brow bone. Yeah, because this part is already bigger than this, right? So if I put the shine starting from here all the way up till here, then it's gonna look flat. What you have to do is bring back the dimension by adding the shine only on the lid and leaving this part as matte as possible. So even that little bit that shows the little hood, this part looks shiny. Also, you can take a little bit shine, and how I have applied on the inner corners and the lower lid, you can apply a little bit here also, so that shine feels connected and it shows a little more. With liners, you have to do it a little differently. If you do a liner like a proper wing liner, it's not gonna show, it's gonna become thick, or all that is gonna happen. So just tight line the eyes and just draw the wing separately. When she'll open her eyes, it'll look like a wing. When she'll close her eyes, you'll not see the wing on top, you'll only see here.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, you have shown us a very nice steps of makeup, but this is not going to use for means everyday life.
Correct.
So according to you, which step we have to follow for the everyday?
Number one, most important, your skincare. Number two, if you don't feel like concealing, don't conceal. Maybe use something like a hybrid product, like a 2-in-1, maybe like the Studio Fix Compact Powder, the new one. After this, you can try out your shade also, and just put it all over. Put a little blush, a little gloss, or whatever lipstick that you like, and mascara, and done. That's it. Because the moment you start doing smoky and all, it is going to get a little extra. Open your eyes. You okay? Okay, there you go. Thank you so much for reminding me about the mascara again. And yeah, that's the look.
Thank you so much, Saikat. That's a great, fabulous look. Thank you so much for a wonderful session. I hope you all did enjoy it. As we wind up, I want to remind our Femina Circle members about the photo session. You can come up and take a picture with Saikat. And thank you, Epitome, for the lovely high tea and the wonderful hospitality. And once the photos are done, MAC has arranged a special session where you can get a shade match with the lovely new Studio Fix powder. So first up, you can take the picture, and then the MAC team out here will get your shade match. Yeah? Thank you so much. Bye.